Okay, so what we got here, I already cut it. I didn't get that on the shot, but pretty straightforward. So what this is a 1/2-inch gate valve, and it doesn't work. It's inoperable, so it doesn't shut the dishwasher off. So this is 1/2-inch T, and this right here is the angle stop for the kitchen. This one was heading here, so I've already shut the water off. I cut it with copper cutters here, inside reed cutters, close reed cutters, and then I went ahead and cut it and letting the water drip out of here. Now, if you're going to put compression on, the water doesn't necessarily need to be off all the way. It'll still seal up. So we're gonna, because there's no soldering involved, so we're gonna put this guy right here. You want to make sure this copper's nice and clean. So I already went ahead and sanded it off with some regular open mesh sand cloth here. So we're gonna get this guy put right on here. So the way that these go on is just like this. Okay, so we're gonna, there we go. Rinse this water out of here, just so that we don't spill it anywhere. We don't want to make a mess here. Okay, so lay that down. Get this out of our way. Okay, so let's drop a rag right here. So what I like to do is, this is a compression valve, so it's made to seal up without tape or dope. Okay, it's actually the ferrule. It's actually this brass piece inside of here that makes the seal. So this guy slides on here, and then the brass ferrule slides on like that, and then this guy slides on like this, and as you start to tighten them and they come together, it starts to compress this ferrule against the copper, which is fine. That should be good. But I like to use a little bit of thread sealant. Okay, and the reason that I like to do that is because this acts more like a lubrication than anything else. Okay. Because what you don't want is, you don't want to be turning the nut, and you don't want to hear screeching like it's just causing a lot of friction from the nut to the ferrule to the threads. So I don't like to glob it on. I just like to put just a little bit on, just on the edge here, and then a little bit on the threads too. You don't want to glob it on, because anytime you really put a lot of this stuff, a little bit goes a long way. So if you put a lot on there, you could potentially clog a faucet or or anything, a toilet. If you do it to a toilet supply, anything like that, you could really clog it up. You know, you don't want to do that. So I put it on the outside, not on the inside, on the outside, right up against where it's going to seal. Right where you start to see, if you see the transition between the angle stop itself and the ferrule, that's where you really want it. So you want to make sure that the angle stop is pushed up tight towards the copper, because you don't want it coming off. So we can wipe all this clean when we're done. So no big deal. So typically an 8-inch crescent wrench, when you open it all the way, it's just about the right size for an angle stop. Pretty darn close. Let's get a good grip here. Okay. So whenever you're turning wrenches, you want them to be mouth to mouth. So if you're going to turn like this, you want them to be pushing against each other, one to back it up and one to turn. So what you don't want to do is turn it like this, because this is backwards. You want to turn it like this. So this is the head, this is the mouth. You want the mouth to bite in, and you want them to bite. So if we're going to be turning our angle stop this way, or our nut this way, then we want to make sure that we're turning the angle stop the other way and backing it up. And a good rule with wrenches or crescent wrenches or channel locks or pipe wrenches or whatever is that you want the larger to back up and you want the smaller to do the turning. So we got the larger one backing it up and we get the smaller one to do the turning. So let's see if we got enough leverage now. Okay, so once you feel like you're starting to get tight enough, you probably are. Because the thing about this is, see if we can get it backed up here. Maybe not. So we're going to see if we can get it. Just maybe one more quarter turn or something. Make sure that we're really on there. Boom. So it seems like we're just about good to go on there. Ferrule, because you don't want to over compress it, because you could really dig into that copper and you don't want to crush the copper. I mean, you want to really squeeze onto it, but you don't want to crush the thing. So wipe this off. We'll close that valve and we'll call that part good for now. Get all this out of our way. Now you'll see what they had here in its place. They had this connection. Okay, so we're gonna take that loose. So again, we're gonna back up one. And then we're going to turn the other one. If we can do that. Hopefully it turns. Looks like it's probably pretty seized up. But I guess we'll see. Yeah, really on there. Get this guy off of here. Yeah, looks okay. Looks like it's in okay shape. Let's see if that turns okay. Yep, looks like it turns alright. Okay, so for this, because it's not a brand new hose and because it's not a brand new joint, I'll just use just a hair of this. Again, you don't need much. You don't need to really cake it on there. I mean, all you need here is just a little bit on the threads. Doesn't take much at all. So we're gonna get this on here. So this is already, you can see it's already all scratched up. Somebody's done work on it in the past, but we're not going to take the whole dishwasher apart and put a new hose on and whatever else. This hose probably works fine. And it's probably good. Okay. That's how you add